I'm too sexy for my cosplay. I'm too sexy for my cosplay on Cosplay Cafe. Yeah, I'm a cosplayer, you know what I mean. And I do my little turn on the con floor. Yeah, on the con floor. Oh, on the con floor. Yeah, I do my little turn on the con floor. And I'm too sexy for my cosplay. I'm too sexy for my cosplay. On Cosplay Cafe. And I'm too sexy for this song.
Happy Friday and welcome to Cosplay Cafe, where we're always serving up a hot steaming cup of cosplay. Tonight we're going to be talking about cosplay on a budget, basically turning your trash into treasure with cosplay. But before then, enjoy our ad roll.
I've been a superhero for a long time. It used to be so simple. You catch the bad guys, do the right thing, save the world. Then I met Aiden, and things got complicated.
Pirates recruited me as a kid and turned me into their own personal weapon. I couldn't see any way out until I met Marty. But now we're going to burn their entire organization down if we can.
Forces of Nature, books 1 and 2, Scorcher and Thin Ice are available now wherever books are sold online. See www.kellyguentner.com.
Pokeballs by Crayley is your one-stop shop for handmade magical creations that celebrate all the Pokemon universe has to offer. Available on Craylevanest.com, that's CraylevanEst.com, and possibly coming to a con near you. All right, well, tonight I am joined by my absolutely fantastic goddess-like co-host, Media Rise, aka Andrea Starnes. Welcome, Andrea. How are you tonight?
Goddess does not describe how I feel today, but I'll take it.
Well, you know what? You're a down-to-earth goddess, but you're always a goddess to me.
I'm surrounded by gods because the cats are all here. Actually, Hermes is trying to sneak up to say hi, so he'll show up. The boys will show up at some point. They think it's their show. Maybe they need a cat cafe show.
I would watch the crap out of that.
Just monetize these boys. Their vet bills are expensive, okay?
If y'all want, you can drop a tip in the tip jar for Andrea's vet bills. Just go to www.cerealboxpodcast.com or cerealboxnetwork.com. Scratch that, even though we're live.
We're good at remembering where to go for things.
I have too many websites to remember.
So we'll have a link.
Yeah, let me run the link on the banners.
There we go.
We've got it somewhere. So while I look for, or why don't you look for that while I introduce our...
Yes.
So our guest is Kyle, aka Cosplays From Trash. He is fantastically talented. He just literally takes trash and turns it into gold. His costumes are awesome. His energy is awesome. His enthusiasm for the craft. He's just an all-around positive guy. We absolutely adore him, and we think you will too. So welcome, Kyle.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited
Thanks
to be
for being here.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't have a cup of tea, but I have a pencil container I just emptied, so we can pretend that's like...
I'm never drinking tea. Even though I drink tea otherwise, I'm usually...
Don't drink the lead.
Dr. Pepper, sponsor us. Come on.
I jokingly have tagged Energizer in every one of my posts about the Energizer Bunny and be like, come on, sponsor me. Come on. Give me some... I don't know what
not yet. You are the Energizer Bunny. Let's be real.
That's how I view myself sometimes.
I mean, look, maybe one day you'll get that post that they catch and they're like, you know what? We should sponsor this guy.
They should.
And then, you could live the dream of being sponsored and maybe not have to work quite so hard.
I'll never stop working hard at cosplay. And sorry, everyone, if I sound. I am on a lot of Dayquil right now. I've had COVID and a stomach bug this week, but we are
Good
here.
Lord.
We're
Double
here.
whammy.
Oh, today is the first day I went to my big boy job the entire time this week. But Dayquil and NyQuil for the rescue.
Who needs your big boy job? You're here.
I like this better anyway.
We are glad you made it.
We have a comment already from Mark Desjardins, said bonjour from Fort Wayne. And he told me, Andrea, I haven't forgotten to mention Odin should be named Willie. Goonies never say die. He is never going to give up on me renaming my cat, but unfortunately he answers to Odin now. So
Odin is the perfect name for your kitty.
He's a
Andrea
monster.
has a one-eyed cat named Odin, and it's perfect.
Yeah. I'm the crazy cat lady. I need to find cosplays to use with them. I actually don't have any.
There's that one crazy cat lady from The Simpsons that you could do. That she looks pretty easy, and she has a lot of cats. So
I can paint myself into jaundiced. Paint myself yellow.
You need to do Freya, goddess of cats.
Yes, I could. I need another cosplay to put on my list.
Don't remind me, my list keeps growing.
Hey, Kelly, you might know this guy, this Thomas Guentner guy that says hi. You might know him.
That weirdo. He keeps following me. He is downstairs right now in my house.
He keeps hitting on a married woman.
Lock the doors.
Okay, if y'all don't know, that actually is her husband. It's not like she's actually in any danger. I don't want to
calls are coming from inside the house, and he still flirts shamelessly with me, and I love him.
We're just starting spooky season early.
I think spooky season has started.
It's year round.
He had to comment because he's a big Packers fan. And their first game is tonight, and he told me he wasn't going to watch the show because he was watching the game. And I was like, "Well, if you do, I'm going to leave you, and I'm going to tell everyone I'm open for guests."
Just he can pull up two.
So I'm not.
You're going to one of your cosplay husbands.
Oh gosh, I have so many. I love my dudes that cosplay with me. I have a few cosplay husbands, and they will be my significant other in cosplay because my husband is staying home with the kids.
Look, man, y'all share the parental load. It's not the mom needs to be with the kids. Y'all truly share the load on your children, and it's great.
Oh, he was a stay-at-home dad for 5 years until this year, and he's the best. So
now, and look, our family is all just chiming in because this is my sister Misty. She says, "Good evening, greetings from Martin, Tennessee. Excited for the new episode." And I'm currently trying to keep Odin from pulling my mic down on his head.
So,
anyway,
first question we like to ask: how did you get into cosplay?
So I've always been a giant nerd, but I use that term lovingly. I mean, if someone calls me a nerd or like I'm too into cosplay, I'm like, thank you. But
never too into it.
I really wanted to cosplay for the longest time when I was younger, and then I did one costume in 2014, and my friends kind of relentless made because I grew up with a lot of as a jock in the sports world, and so when I only had a lot of jock friends, and they all saw this. I got some pretty negative feedback from them, so I was like, you know what? I don't need to express that side of myself. So I'd almost made the jump in 2014, and then decided to eventually get back into it when COVID started, because I was like, well, if the world's going to end, I might as well make a costume or something. So kind of in a very, some people's reasons are like, oh, my best friend dragged me to a con. I'm like, nope, I was bullied out of it. And then I thought, we're all going to die, so I might as well just make a costume here.
Lots of people picked up hobbies during COVID, so you just were one of the ones that picked up a hobby.
It was more fun than, I don't know, gardening or baking bread. I wasn't very good at it.
I don't get this sourdough starter, but I'm glad it helped keep people sane. But
yeah,
how much do you have to do?
More than it's like a child. You have to water it and feed it sugar, and If it dies, I made French
thank you
bread
for
once.
explaining that to me, actually, because I've been like, okay, y'all are making bread. How's that keeping you busy?
And
That sounds just stressful.
And don't spoil the secret for anyone, but sourdough bread, it kind of like thrives off the microbiome that it's around. And so if you've had it in your house, even if it's been alive for 200 years or 50 years, however long, it doesn't really have any of the same organisms from that long ago. So it's not much different than one someone made 3 weeks ago. But don't tell the bread crowd. The bread crowd is coming after me after that comment. I'm sorry.
I'm thinking about Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm thinking of Boyle. With the family. And it gets ruined, and you would think the world had come to an end because the family's bread starter got ruined.
Carry on for generations.
Yes. That's where my mind went to.
Boyle.
I love sourdough bread, actually, but no, I don't think
I'll go buy it from the bakery. I'm good.
Yeah.
I love to cook. I love to bake, but that just sounds even more stressful than building a costume from scratch.
Agreed.
Yes. So, Kyle, what are you currently working on costume-wise?
So I just finished a bunch of costumes, and I think because I'm going to a con at the end of September, Uncanny X-Men in Minneapolis, I'm
jealous everybody's going.
I'm so excited, and I want to make Richter, but then I found out that 2 other people were also making Richter, so I'm thinking, can I do my typical Kyle thing and panic at the last minute, brand new costume in a day or a week?
Crunch.
It's impossible not to con crunch. No, how would you prepare? So I think I'm working on Richter right now, unless I change my mind. So
ADHD makes it hard not to con crunch because there's always a shiny new costume.
There's always,
and you always want to get it done before you lose your interest.
I actually just put 2 on my list today, and so I'm ashamed to say that the list has grown more just today alone. Then
you don't want to see my list.
It's
same. I just found fabric for one that has been on my radar today. So it's officially on my list now. And I gave myself a hard deadline of October 6th for an event, a charity event that I'm doing.
Well, best of luck.
Yeah.
That's
I realized earlier, a couple of months ago, I realized I have not made anything for myself since this time last year when I was making my Clea Strange and my Disney Bound for my Disneyland trip. I've put together some new ones. So I'm like, I need to make something. I've made other people costumes this year. It's my turn to make me something.
Yes.
And then instead of going with just one, I have 3 or 4 on the list. Because, my family's always a go big or go home kind of family.
What is moderation?
Might as well make them all.
While having a full-time job, volunteer work, helping run cosplay contests at cons, who needs sleep?
No one. Not me.
Not this insomniac. I do have a dog with their head asleep in my hand right now over here.
Oh.
I have a Great Dane head. It's Belle.
Oh.
Yeah, big old dog.
Sweet
big,
Belle.
Big girl.
So of your costumes that you've made, Kyle, do you have a favorite?
Up until about a month ago, the one that we used for the feature, the one where I'm in the Archer costume, it's from Overwatch. That was definitely my favorite, but now the Energizer Bunny it was already going to be a tie because I thought it was the funniest thing in the entire world, but the reception, this is the one that this one was the biggest labor of love because it took forever to do. I say it only took me 60 hours. It took me longer than 60 hours to do because everything's made by trash by hand. So there's that. But tie between this and the Energizer Bunny for my 2 favorites probably. Yeah. Again, this one just
gosh.
I don't live off the praise of others, but the amount of this is so amazing from other people. It's well, all right, I guess it's okay. I guess I'll be nice to myself today.
It fuels you though, to see people liking you doing something that was just a goofy idea. That really does. It fuels you. The positive reinforcement it's a good thing. I know we try not to be like living in the, internet being praised by a bunch of strangers, but also being praised by a bunch of strangers is really good.
Yeah, and definitely not. I will never brag a day in my life, but I have actually won
Right.
a cost or placed with both of these. One of them I didn't win,
Oh,
but it's just kind
nice.
of like nice that two of my costumes that I already loved ended up getting recognized on that level
Yes.
as well. And for anyone who's like new to costume contest, please do not go into a contest expecting to win. That is the worst. You will be disappointed. Even if you win, you'll be like, well, good, I should have won. So like, just none of that. All I'm
Yeah.
saying is like,
Yeah.
of any of the
Yeah.
costumes to win, I'm glad that these two are like 2 out of my 3 wins. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I love these too. Thank you, judges.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
I just judged a contest, and the guy that ended up getting best in show showed up in armor that he had made himself out of aluminum sheets, and it was a completely original character that he designed. And one of the runners up asked me what she could do differently, and I was like, okay, your costume was amazing, but the point of my story is, like, her costume was amazing, but I was like, this guy showed up in armor that he literally designed. He even had
Yeah.
a working fan with a cooling system. So that's one of the many reasons you shouldn't go into a costume expecting to win, because you never know what you're going to be up against.
Mm-hmm.
And like, as judges, we couldn't not award that guy. Like, that was engineering, and it looked good, and it was a creative original design. Like,
It's hard
sometimes you're up against
judging.
someone in a suit of armor. It's hard judging. And so
I've literally been judging since 2014, 15. I've been judging for about 10 years, and it never gets easier. And you're never going to please everybody. And half the time, it's not the competitors that have an issue with the placing. It's the people that were just watching the stage part. It's not the people, they weren't in prejudging. They didn't see what we see up close. I've had to defend my decisions online so many times because people are like, I can't believe that one and that didn't. And I'm like, you didn't see the workmanship up close. It's hard. And, you always want to encourage people to keep doing it. But some of them, just like you said, they go in with this I'm going to win mentality. And then when they don't, it's your fault.
Definitely.
Stressful.
Sometimes when I've judged, I've kind of realized, I mean, every costume contest could have 100%, let's say like master level cosplays, probably not. But like once you get more than just a couple of people, the decision does start to get really hard because, I mean, even a small pool of like 8 or 10, if you have 3 or 4 people that are knockouts, 9.5 out of 10, it's an insanely hard job to judge, like differentiate between them. And then I don't know, I definitely feel like many costume contests, if I went back and wiped my brain, somehow like lost my memory and rejudged it, I can't guarantee that the exact best in show would always win. Like maybe one person will win 6 out of 10 times, and the person who got second would win in my head another 4 out of 10 times on the other side. It's just there's always so much talent, and you're like, I never want someone to feel like if they don't win a competition that their costume wasn't good.
Right. And especially if you have it in the skill divisions, novice is the hardest to judge because that's where you have the bulk of your entries. And you want to encourage these people to go, this is my first costume. If they don't win, you want them to come back and do it again. You want them to keep having fun with it, but you also can't just, everybody gets a trophy. It's not like that.
That's one reason why I'm so adamant about me participating in costume contests, because a lot of feedback that I've gotten is from, newer cosplayers that, they see that I work with cheap materials or out of trash and they kind of want to like get into it, but they're really nervous to take the jump onto stage. It's like, it's an excuse to show off your costume. I almost like, it's kind of like, I'm not happy that I lose, but it's not a bad thing when I lose because no pressure. It's not like I was expected to win, and I showed that I could still have a really great time and have a great costume on stage, and people still like it. So that's just as important as any other aspect of showing off.
Yeah, we have a quick comment from Aubrey Cavitt. Said, hello, so glad to watch tonight. Excited about the conversation.
We love you, Aubrey.
Thanks,
You
Aubrey.
know,
Aubrey
like-
is our new barista who's going to be joining
Yes,
us
she'll be.
probably next episode, as long as circumstances align. So we're
Yes.
really excited about that.
But
Awesome.
Sorry,
You
what
know,
were you going to say?
going back to what Kyle was saying about, going in there with no expectations, I think the one I haven't gotten to compete in a while because I've been judging, but 2014 was the last time I competed with my former cosplay partner before she moved out of the country. And we went to Anime Weekend Atlanta. That's a huge, huge con. But we're competing one last time together. And we're looking at everybody and we're like, everybody is amazing. We're like, we don't know. Are we going to place? If we don't, look at the competition. We came home with the Best in Show manga division, and we were shocked. We're like sitting there like, wait a minute, we beat these people? Like, it was, so, it was a shock. It was a good shock, but we also didn't go in there going, we've won before, so we're going to win again. We were proud of what we did, but we're like, if we don't win, we had fun competing together one last time.
Very true. Good attitude to have.
You have to, because if not, you just become one of those people nobody wants to be around. Kate Hawkins says, hiya, peoples.
Hi, Kate. We love you.
Everybody's very talkative tonight.
Yes. So Kyle, what is one of your favorite experiences at a con?
Oh gosh, I have. This is not a cop-out answer, but this more speaks to a holistic answer. I really think that you and I meeting at Fan Expo Chicago is an example of one of my type of highlights, because, as I said, I didn't really cosplay much when I was younger because I was worried that people would make fun of me. But I think that those type of experiences of, just bonding through a hobby, and then someone that lives 750 miles away, we had a great conversation, and I was like, wait, I have made a friend that also loves this hobby, and we both happen to be doing Wonder Woman esque cosplays. And it's just like,
awesome.
Those are the type of moments where it's like, I know it sounds cheesy, but like, I actually do love meeting people at cons, because it is a legitimate shared communal experience. And so I probably have like 5 or 7 of those moments from this year. And it's just really great when someone, like, you can recognize each other's stuff and just be happy to like nerd out. And that's more fun than any trophy or merch or panel or anything like that. Like, if I didn't know people, I don't think going to cons would be as much fun. And so like, that's what kind of fuels going back, is like, oh, I get to make friends and I get to talk to people. And like, we chatted before about my disastrous Airbnbs, long story, but like, just being able to have nerdy cosplay friends, and then like you meet and the other person's cool and they don't think you're weird because you're both equally weird and nerdy. It's like, wait, this is great.
It's your people.
Yeah.
That is my favorite part too, actually. Like,
I love meeting
finding your
Find
community.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And hang on, I'm grabbing the picture of us.
I love this comment though, from this comment from Aubrey. She said, I made 3rd place at a con in Kentucky for authenticity because I found a retro piece of 80s fashion, an all lace dress, the only contest I ever entered.
Nice.
She's like, I got 3rd, I'm good. Roll out.
That is awesome. I love that.
That and 1,000% right there. So
yeah, that's what I joked about with our Anime Weekend Atlanta experience. That was the first and only time we ever went. We came home with a trophy and we're like, guess we're never going back.
Don't want to tarnish the record.
I mean, granted, my friend moved to Japan, so
but
a little harder.
Never lost together. Hey, that's us.
Look at you guys.
Yep, there we are. So we did not plan this yet.
Impromptu.
And Kyle was just walking by. I was like, hey, there you are. And yeah, it was perfect. And that also happens to be your cosplay is Crayley's favorite version of Wonder Girl. So it was kind of a Phoenix connection too. You're in the Phoenix hive mind now, by the way.
Excellent.
Welcome.
You didn't get to opt with us, but don't worry, you won't get the migraines because most new Phoenix Hive Mind members don't seem to be getting the migraines, so you should be okay.
Thank you for bearing that burden for us.
You're now one of us.
One of us.
Yes, I guess you need a Phoenix suit.
I mean, why not? I do so many gender bend
I would
cosplays
rock
anyway. Might as well.
I mean, why not? We got a couple more. A T-Shade says, "Yay, weird and nerdy."
Yes.
And Aubrey said the weirdest thing I've ever used for cosplay was weed trimmer wire.
Aubrey, funny story about that. I'm actually doing poison ivy, and I have green weed whacker wire or whatever it's called, and that's what I'm using for the vines for it.
Okay, here's a stupidly random fun fact. In Australia, they call weed eaters whippersnippers. And I love that name.
If someone said that to me, I'd be like, what word are we saying? I have no idea.
It's a whippersnipper. I listened to a podcast called Mysterious Universe. It's 2 guys in Australia. They would refer to it. I'm like, what is a whippersnipper?
Do y'all call
It's a weed eater.
Wisconsin water fountain bubblers? Is that right?
What?
Well, yeah.
I get a lot of it because I watch Bluey.
My husband and I have that argument a lot because he calls them bubblers. I am team either water fountain or drinking fountain.
Yeah.
And so we will jokingly have that argument a lot.
I heard bubbler once when I was up there. I was like, well, a what?
Mm-hmm. Don't ask. And because we live in the southeast corner of Wisconsin, we're on the border, so we get the crossover with the Illinois slang. So there's a lot of arguments over whether it's pop or soda, whether it's a bubbler or a water fountain.
I'm from Tennessee. It's Coke. No matter what,
everything's Coke down here. So
it's a Coke. No matter what, if you're drinking a Pepsi, you're still having a Coke.
Yeah, y'all are crazy. And yes, I have stolen y'all from y'all because you guys is not gender neutral. So y'all is my
y'all
favorite.
Means all.
Mm-hmm.
I broke myself of saying y'all for a long time because people would look at me a little crazy with my southern accent if I went up north, and now I'm just like, y'all. I embraced it.
I had to practice. Okay. I had to break myself of you guys, but I don't like you guys.
Yeah, Kyle, you and Aubrey are apparently like part of the hive mind together too, because she said her weed trimmer wire was also for a poison ivy cape.
Great minds think alike, Aubrey.
Oh, and there's argument in the chat about soda and pop. And we're getting.
Oh no! Did I start a debate?
There's soda and pop happening in the comments.
I'm not surprised. It's a hot topic.
Yeah. Okay,
but at least you don't call it Coke up here. Come on, what are y'all doing?
What do y'all call like tissues that you blow your nose with?
Okay, so I call them tissues, but I think some people up here do call them Kleenex.
Kleenex, and so or correction fluid. People call whiteout. Like
whiteout.
It's not that uncommon to use a brand name for the generic term.
Okay, that's fair.
Q-tips. They're not cotton swabs.
Well reasoned.
The South is its own world, okay?
Yeah, isn't it common in the South for people to go by their middle names a lot?
It's common
or not by their real name at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of other common things, like you may use there's like double first names. Like I know a lot of like Mary Graces. I know an Anna Bliss. I know an Anne Marie. Like on and on.
Yeah.
Another thing is if you're the third, I think this is just true in the South. You go by Trey typically instead of like the third. I know every Trey I know is a third. Their name isn't Trey.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like both of my parents went by their middle names. My sister doesn't even go by her name. When it said Misty earlier, her name is Stephanie Michelle.
Okay, I could see where you would get Misty from Michelle, kind of.
It was my dad liked the books about the horse Misty of Shankatee Island. That's where my sister got her nickname.
Why can't you just go by your given name? I'm so confused.
Because my nickname with the family is Annie. My oldest brother's name is Brian. We call him Bear. Scoot is Daniel. Brad is the closest. His name is Bradley. So no, my family, none of us go by our real name. Okay. It's a Southern thing.
Yeah.
It's a Southern thing.
That's fair. So this is the two names thing that's kind of funny. My mom's maiden name is Kelly. That's where I got my name. And one of my cousins married someone named Kelly. So now she literally had to change what people call her. So people have to call her Kelly Ann because Ann's her middle name. She like really had to change what people call her for her first name because she married someone with the last name Kelly.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. Look, if you don't like your name, just pick a new one.
I mean, okay, so that's valid. That I can get behind, but it's still so confusing that it's so common. But I guess, actually, that is valid. I can get behind people choosing their own name. So, okay, when you get to a certain age, you choose it. Is that how it is, or is it just chosen for you?
In my family, it was all chosen for us.
Yeah, it's actually funny. A lot of people, like some of my friends, like their parents just started calling them a different name when they were younger. Or one of my friends, his name is Christian, but like the day before he was born, his mom's like, even though we're naming him Christian, we're all going to call him Chip, and he goes by Chip. 35 years later, I don't know.
My brother-in-law, my brother-in-law's name is Philip Carlos. He goes by Jim.
Why not?
Because he didn't like his name when he was a kid. When he was a kid, he said, "Call me Jim." My nephew is his junior, but he goes by his first names.
That's
the South is. I told you, it's a whole other world down here.
It really is. There's like culture shock. Like last time I visited, I think I got a bit of culture shock. Not in a completely bad way. I was like, It's like
we're also all bless your heart down here.
Oh, see, I know about that. If someone says bless your heart, you run.
You are.
Sometimes it's literal. Most of the time.
Yeah, I'm not taking my chances. Yeah. If someone says bless your heart, I know me. I have offended them mortally, and I'm gonna run. Because they're making plans to bury me. And I don't blame them.
6 acres.
Annoying.
I've got 6 acres of land if anybody needs it to know.
Yeah, everyone in the South has lots of land too. So also don't take my chances with those bless your hearts. We're on that very macabre note, like you said, we're kicking off spooky season early. That's why I'm dressed as Agatha. So we're at the halfway point. I am filming upstairs, so I cannot really show off my costume much, but like here it is.
That's very dramatic.
Yeah, looks nice.
Yeah, thanks. It's very, very not screen accurate, but that is the point of budget costuming. You work with what you got.
Mm-hmm.
And this is made from a old Morticia gown and another gown that I got really inexpensively, and then like stash fabric. And Kyle, I know you were sick, so I did not. I'm just glad you showed up.
I wanted to put on something, but I was like, I may or may not have woken up from a nap.
We have
around
pictures to show up, so
yeah,
that's always good.
And you look pretty healthy, so don't.
We're
happy you're here.
We'll take you being well over being dressed in a cosplay.
Same cosplay.
And Andrea, cosplay. Why don't you show off your costume a little?
Oh, well, I can't really get up either. There's a table in front of me, but
that's okay.
It's literally one of my favorite book series is The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I'm not doing the French accent because I don't want to offend people. The character Scarlet, I literally can use my Merida wig, one of my work hoodies. I literally didn't have to buy a thing for this. And it's even tattered up like hers is in the story. So it's perfect. But like I said, I don't want to offend all of the French people in the world by doing a horrible French accent. So
you also could work for Wanda at the end of WandaVision, so we could go together.
It multitasks. Garrett Dunwald said, evening, y'all, to another one of our Southern friends. Nikki and I are eating dinner on the couch and watching.
Oh, hi, Garrett and Nikki. Them. So now that we've shown
Everybody's
off our
be saying y'all.
You know what? That is the official word of the show. I'm declaring it.
I said down here we have T-shirts that say "Y'all mean all." So
I love it. So Kyle, let's go through the rest of your pictures. If you just want to talk about the costumes, whatever you want to say about them.
Sure. So I think the ones that I submitted were kind of like a variety of different skill levels because I wanted to show off like some easier ones versus some hard ones. This is a character from Naruto that I really liked. It was like my first real jump into anime or manga really was with Naruto. And so like one of the first costumes I did in 2022, he ends up dying. Spoilers, that was like 20 years ago that he died. So
yeah.
Read it. But this is a costume that half of it was cosplay, and the other half was actually making it from scratch. So things like the pants, the neckerchief, the vest, and the weapons are all kind of made from scratch. But then the shirt, that's actually just a sweater, and I happen to have fabric that was the same color as the pants. And so a lot of costumes that I choose to do out of my 10 trillion are just things that I happen to be able to kind of, squish together out of like scraps. So sometimes it works out where I can do a costume like this that I really wanted to, and other times it's more like, well, this is going to be on the back burner for years until I eventually can do it. So I remember making the shoes for this, which were terrible, and that's why I did not show them in this portfolio shot because they are awful shoes.
I've made those shoes from Naruto. They are not easy.
They are not. And when I made it, it was really bad the first time because I didn't understand how cobblerine worked, and so it was bad. I'll put it that way.
It's impressive that you tried to make shoes. Like most cosplayers do not.
Those ninja sandals are very specific, though.
They are, and they're not. They're easy to mess up. So, but the cigarette, that's just paper. So, this is like one of my favorite costumes, my Black Widow costume, because
such a good costume.
I won my costume contest at work. I don't count that as a real win, but I meant like because my company has like 40
wins
people.
A win.
Oh, so I mean,
yeah, exactly. A win is a win.
I think second place was a dog with a watermelon hat. Like they carved out the watermelon to just be a hat, and so I beat that.
So you were cuter than a dog?
It was a pretty close vote. I think it was like 14-13 or something where I barely beat it.
But you still beat the dog. Oh. That's hard.
The $50 Amazon gift card was well deserved. I was like telling my team, like, come on.
Wow, taking that out of context, so you beat the dog.
Okay. Yeah, FBI, come to my house, but
he didn't hurt it.
We're gonna put that quote on TikTok.
That's fine. I'll get canceled. It's all right.
Don't worry, it'll be for us first because I said it.
We'll edit that part out. Trying to think of what was interesting. So everything, the pants and the shirt were actually just hemmed other things, but all the other stuff was, the widow bites. It's actually in a reel that I have from like a year and a half ago where I pulled a shoe rack out of a dumpster and it fell on me, and I kept that in the reel and posted it. And that is what the little widow bites are made out of. They're that, which I used a pipe cutter to cut up, and then also curtain rod ring hangy things. The things you put on a curtain rod and they hang the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a term for that? Curtain ring holders? Exactly. That's what I had to
know what you're talking about.
I had to just take pliers and turn them into like actual circles, but little fun things like that of just little bits and bobs can really turn into the most random pieces for costumes, and it all kind of ends up working out. So, and there's a security guard that walked by me. Like I had to stay into this pose for like 15 seconds because she definitely walked behind me and was just staring at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm posing. I promise I'm not crazy. This is for cosplay. And then she's like, "All right," and just walked away. But I was just frozen in the same pose. Like I don't want to turn around because I know I look good.
She went home and probably told everybody about this weird guy in the garage.
So was someone taking this picture, or did you have like your camera set up?
Oh, it was a camera set up, and I think in one of my fists I have a little clicker, but I didn't have the flash on during this, so I was just like taking photos. Like I don't want to turn around because I don't want to lose my balance, and I know that I'm like right in center right now.
Oh.
But, yeah.
You did very well on the widow pose, but yeah,
Yes.
you must have looked crazy.
You are probably a story that woman tells at all of her family functions.
Probably so, and that's fine. Glad I
you made an impact.
I did.
Be the clown car in someone else's day.
And Aubrey's right. Cosplay photos when random walks by.
Like,
They're the looks you
just
get.
stand your ground. So
we embraced our weirdness a long time ago, so we're just like not even embarrassed by it anymore.
Nope. I once went to an event. It was a charity event, and it was at a museum, and I pulled up next to a guy who did not know a charity event was going on at this museum. And so I pulled up dressed as Batgirl, and I step out of the car, and the guy looks at me, and he got excited, like his face lit up, and he's like, you know what? He's like, I heard this story on the radio a while back where this host is talking about how every time he pulls up to a car, he hopes that the car door opens and clowns will just start pouring out, that it'll be like a clown car. And he's like, basically, he's like, and I always hope for and he's like, I always hope for that too. I hope that something interesting will happen when I pull up to a car. And today it did. I'm like, I was so happy I could be that guy's clown car.
Oh, it's like when I pop out in a ball gown. I love the story from T-Shades. One time I was taking cosplay pictures outside my apartments, and not one but 3 of my neighbors came home at that exact moment.
Of course. Always.
I love it.
And you're just like, howdy, neighbor. I'm just doing weird stuff. No big deal.
My neighbors now know. They've seen me just, getting ready to leave for a con or a function in a ball gown or toting, superhero stuff. And they're just like, oh, there goes the weird neighbor. I was like, I'm the fun one. I'm the one you want to come to for Halloween.
Your Halloween setup is amazing.
Oh, there's more this year. There's going to be a 12-foot spider on the roof with the 11-foot spider, or with the 8-foot spider.
It's going to be
that
awesome.
hits me right in the arachnophobia, but it still sounds amazing.
The acrophobia is what gets me when I have to go up on the roof to do it.
No, thank you.
This is Eddie Heiser. What is Halloween to a cosplayer? Another day.
I actually, I don't know if I'm the minority or majority about this, but when it comes to Halloween, last Halloween, I literally put a sheet over me and was like, I'm a ghost.
You don't want to bring out your good cosplay.
I know.
I bring out, for my trick-or-treaters, since I'm in the driveway the whole time, I'm in a recognizable one, but it's not like I'm going to take my Anastasia in my driveway. But I was Merida last year, and the kids loved that. But our friend Hunter, she always does like the generic costume. She's like, I'm not wearing like my Spider Gwen. She's like, I'm going to be a cat burglar. And she has a little whisker straw.
That's so cute.
By the way, your Anastasia, I didn't get to say it in person, but your Anastasia was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I literally saw that and I was like, well, I'm losing.
But she has
Did you compete in the contest that her Anastasia was in?
Yeah, because you
I haven't
did
competed
IMTAC,
in
right?
Anastasia.
Wait, did you at IMTAC?
No, I didn't. There was another Anastasia there.
Okay, I guess.
Was it this year?
Yeah.
I saw pictures of her. No, that was not me. I saw that. I was like, oh my God. Because I haven't competed Anastasia.
Oh, okay. Because literally when you said that, my mind just jumped to that. I was like,
no, I saw the pictures of that because my friend Chelsea runs the cosplay contest at IMTAC. I actually judged IMTAC last year. That was an experience.
This was like my first time at IMTAC, so okay, sorry for conflating that, but I was like, well, anyway.
No, but that was a gorgeous.
Costume.
It was a gorgeous Anastasia, so I'm not upset of being compared to that one.
No, I was like, you have red hair. I think was that her hair, or was that a wig on her?
I don't know. I wasn't actually there. I just saw the photos.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, last year was my one and only time at IMTAC because my friend was like, "Hey, I've been wanting you to come judge with me." We judged for like 5 hours. I was so tired. I did a day trip to Nashville.
It's tiring.
It was fun, but it was exhausting. Hermes keeps trying to put his tail in the camera, buddy. Go on. We got other people to look at. Thank you.
This is one
It's
of
a
my
cute
mom's.
tail, though.
This is one of my mom's favorites, and everything on here is literally basura trash. And I don't know. I just really like this costume because it's one of the first ones. My mom didn't go, what's that? But she was like, oh, it's Mario. I was like, that's 80% right, Mom. Good job.
This is such a cute picture too. Like you've got the expression nailed. This is a fun costume. I like it.
I made my own gloves for it, and outside of shoes, I also hate making gloves. And you can kind of see the gloves were not perfect, and I think I got rid of them because I got mad at them.
I hate making gloves.
Gloves are the worst.
I was gonna say, give yourself props because making gloves is one of like the top tier hard things to do. Making gloves and making shoes. But you've only been cosplaying for 4 years and you made shoes and gloves.
They're not good shoes. They're not great gloves. Like I'll try anything.
It doesn't matter.
But you did it.
Really difficult things and made them. You're impressive.
Thank you.
I keep telling myself I'm going to make no more gloves, and then I do costumes that I cannot buy the gloves because they won't match my fabrics.
So because you hate yourself.
Well, so this is like half a joke cosplay, but since my last name is Kirby, I decided to do an anthropomorphization of Kirby, and so this was I feel so silly when I'm always like, hey, you want to see my Kirby cosplay? Get it, because my last name's Kirby. Get it? And they're like, Kyle, we understand. We got the joke. But the funny story behind this was most of the stuff on me is just like pink stuff that I owned. I did make the boots for a different costume. And so that's why they actually look like they're homemade. But the umbrella was really fun because that was someone's umbrella that they threw out on the street, and I pick up everything that I can find. But actually making the skirt for the whatever you call the fabric of the umbrella, it was actually really fun because it was in like 8 parts, so I had to do a lot of math to figure out how to make it into 10 or 12 or however many. And there's just a lot of little bits and bobs in there. The star is filled up with, I think, sawdust, and then to kind of hold it into the pole, there's a pill container, and then hot glued in the pill container is a letter opener that I found, and that's shoved down into the pole and all held in there. So it's literally just, it looks great on the outside, but it's literally just garbage.
Aubrey said, where in social media can we see your videos of your cosplay how-tos, Kyle?
I can drop it in the chat later, but it's cosplays_from_trash. The 2 main places that I show how-tos. On Instagram, I'll typically show like some like behind the scene processes. There's a lot of just me being derpy on there. But on Tuesdays, I typically come out with a video on YouTube, and about half of it is the whole how I made version of the costumes. The Archer costume, the Hanzo one, that is actually going to be, I think, this Tuesday's video. And so I will hopefully sound good enough tomorrow or Sunday to record that and show off each little bit of that costume.
I had almost missed this comment. It said from Barry A. said, any fun trash finds lately, and may I send you my trash?
It depends on what trash is, because sometimes someone came up to me and they said, I got trash for you, and I got excited, and they handed their tissue, and like I just blew my nose, and they were like borderline offended. They didn't want it. That's why I was like, that's I was like, I can't use that there. Can't you let it dry out? And I was like, can't I? No. That's gross.
That's biohazard.
Yeah, but
why didn't you try to clone them?
It sounds like a lot of. Then you got to take everything.
I sound like a person you don't want to clone, though. If they're handing their used tissues to people, that doesn't sound like somebody we need to clone.
But to the first part of your question,
okay, but
sorry, go ahead.
You could train the clone to make more costumes.
What if they? I don't know. Some kids they just don't listen. I have a sister who is 20 years younger than me. I had to check my watch. She didn't listen to me when she was a child. But Barry, to answer the first half of your question, I actually did find a complete outdoor patio set. I think I'm gonna just keep it because I don't have a patio set, but I see why they got rid of it because it was just kind of like a little worn down. But it's a wicker outdoor set. There's the 2 chairs, a bench, and then a foldable. I'll take photos of it and put it on Patreon later, but it's actually really nice that I found it for free. Like there's all the, one second, like all
He's
these
making dumpster diving very appealing.
Okay, you can't see my face in this, darn it, background. But yeah, there's like all the pillows are in here because I found it right before I went to Atlanta. So I had to like throw everything in here on Monday or Tuesday night. And so it's all just like in my basement to make sure it didn't get rained on. It's, yeah, I literally find stuff all the time.
I look at things on the road
really
and see that. I'm like, I can't use it. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. Like, I would never even attempt this costume, to be honest with you.
This, I kind of same thing with the Energizer Bunny. You just get that little like worm in your head and you're like, I gotta make this. And so someone at one point said, wouldn't it be funny if you made a gender bent Hut Slayer? And I said, that would be funny. And they said, you should do it. And then I was like, oh no, I've been roped in. And so it took me like 6 months to start this because I was really panicky of it. But the coolest part, both the front and the back bikini covering, I don't know proper terms, that's actually a rubber home base. Like it's a first base and a home base where I literally, because that's why it's a little wide, because I kind of didn't cut it down too much. So I was like, oh, I'm about that wide. But yeah, it's literally, that's the base of everything. And all of the grooves on there are either Christmas ornaments or HDMI wires. And so eventually it got covered with a war bullet to make it look nice. But it's like, yeah, that's just
Love it.
the basis of it. And that blanket smells really bad. I mean, I eventually washed it with a lot of vinegar and it doesn't smell bad. But that is one of the ones that I got from someone. They got evicted from, this sounds bad. Someone not get evicted. They left their apartment and I was literally watching the conversation because it was at my friend's house, and the management helped them move out. And they basically say, aren't you going to take all your stuff? And they're like, nah, I'm moving out of state. So it was literally just like all their stuff was about to be thrown in the dumpster that they didn't want. And I was like, so it's hasn't touched like garbage yet, but it's about to be. So I got a lot of stuff from them. But they had a lot of dogs, and so I had to like wash all of they gave me like 20 blankets. Moral of the story is I got like 20 blankets that are like all that fuzzy material, and I had to wash them in vinegar like 6 times to get the dog smell out. Like it wasn't like bad dog smell, like they messed in it or anything.
But it was obvious.
Oh, it was like the dog had slept in it every night, and it was, you shake it a little bit and 2 pounds of dog hair comes out. So
it's like they'd never washed their dog's blanket.
Yeah, so like I think that's why they were moving out of state. And they're like, nah, y'all can keep it, apartment complex, like, which is a very funny thing I don't know. When I moved out of my apartment, I have always taken everything, but I mean, I guess if you don't want your security deposit back, you can make the apartment complex take everything out for you. So,
well, they might have already done other things to the apartment that their security deposit was a wash.
I mean, with $900, I mean, she had, I think, 3 dogs. So,
in an apartment,
she wasn't getting it back. There's no way. But you rock this, like you're wearing it with confidence, and you look good.
We always talk about, some people are like, oh, the women get objectified. We like that the men are like, I'm gonna wear it too. Equality.
I mean, yeah.
Why not?
No, I totally get it. It's like, I mean, I don't think that, first of all, it's bad for men to walk around objectifying women, but I definitely think that if anyone is going to have that gaze, then they should understand that, people can, if you're going to look at other people that way, then people are going to look at you and you can't complain about it because that's how you treat others. Golden rule and all that. So,
amen.
Oh, thank you, My Chemical Crash.
Yes.
Oh, hey, he's a patron. Actually, no, so is Barry and Eddie. But anyway, hello, all patrons. Sorry, I didn't say hi at the beginning to everyone. I was not looking at the comments, but hello, everyone. This is My Chemical Crash's favorite cosplay. I did not, or loves his cosplay. I don't know if it's your favorite, but
I love it.
The dust cover that goes underneath box springs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what all of the black is on here. All the arm, the chest piece, the shirt, the pants. That was another, I'm going to wash this like 400 times. So for anyone that like knows that I pick up trash, it's not like I'm just like swimming through like, you're not
going to the trash heap and just diving in.
No, it's typically like if something is like sticky or smells like like something really bad or anything like that, I won't take it. But even something that like is fine, I will still wash it multiple times with like vinegar, maybe bleach. Let it dry in the sun, let the sun kill a lot of germs for a while. Like I'm not just like, oh boy, where did this sweater come from? Putting on. But yeah. Have you all ever made really, really, really big props before?
Yes.
I learned that they are not, that you need to make them lighter than you think you're going to need to make them. Because I was like, it's going to be like 9 pounds. It'll be fine. That sword got heavy.
Every time.
Yep. I'm like, it'll be fine.
You carried her on the con floor for like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, why am I so sore?
Yeah. And you always go, all of the components are light. Mm-hmm. But then you forget you're putting all of those light components together.
It's not, it's always heavier than you think it is because you're like, it's fine. It's just fabric. It's just a little bit of wood glue. It's just a little bit of paint.
It adds up. The math definitely maths once you get going.
I feel like that's a metaphor for life.
Yeah.
One of my favorite comics, the punchline is basically the risk I took was calculated, but man, am I bad at math. So I think of when I'm always like, yeah, so I know what I'm doing, but I'm like, oh no, I didn't think about the repercussions.
I love it. This is a great costume.
It's one of the few times
I would not be mad if you brought this to Uncanny.
I'm just jealous y'all are going.
I wish you could come with us.
I know. I mean, I know the organizer. I know Dylan. Like
next year, Andrea.
Next year.
Tertiary year, or not tertiary, junior year, I guess, will be next year for the third year. Yes. Oh, and I think this is, I almost said, so the joke is that people call this character well, this is the gender bend. So the original, when it came out, people were calling her Dinosaur Mommy and like maybe objectifying her a little bit. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do Dinosaur Daddy. And like, it's not
My Chemical Crash just said Dino Daddy.
Yeah, that's like it's like, so like there were two professors in the Pokemon game. There was like Fossil Daddy and Dinosaur Mommy. And so like, because they were like the hottest professors of any of the Pokemon generations. And so I was like, well, what's a slightly scandalous shirtless one I can do? Like, because that means I get to wear less clothes, or I make less clothes, I mean. And I was like, yep, this will be easy. So that's, some of these costumes are just chosen literally because I had orange and my friends, my mom's friend's cousin's neighbor was a vet tech that like retired, and she had like 3 of these the lab coats. Yeah. So it was like, I didn't have to make a lab coat from scratch, which is great. Thank goodness.
That's amazing. Also, I love that your brand is kind of like, you know what? Women get objectified in this. So I'm just going to do a male version and screw all y'all.
Yeah, we love it.
I know that I think that everyone to an extent kind of like struggles with some sort of body issue or body dysmorphia. I don't think that I'm unique in that any capacity. And I definitely, part of the reason why I do some of the less clothed cosplays is a inadvertent confidence boost to myself, where it's like, I think this looks great, and so I'm gonna wear it, and then like if no one says anything negative about it, because at cons no one's gonna come up to you and say your costume sucks or anything like that. It just makes you feel good about wearing it. And so I always say, if someone says like, oh, I'm too short for this, or I'm too fat, or I don't have enough muscles or anything like that, like, who cares? Just, you love the character, you love the costume, do it. You're only going to get compliments. No one's going to, like, literally no one is the exact body type of any character that they cosplay. There's always going to be something that's, slight, because no one's going to be a clone of anyone. So just enjoy the costume, and I promise you're going to look better than you think you do. And if you love the costume, then like, you're going to look great. I always say that to people that are, one of my friends is on the shorter side, and he like is kind of self-conscious about doing taller characters. I'm like, I will personally hurt anyone that comes up to you and says, you're too short to be that character. It's like, I will beat them up for you, because you should like, why would you go up to someone and say that at a con? That's the rudest thing ever. So,
yeah. So, Eddie had some questions for you. It says, you have an idea of what you want to use the materials you collect for, or do your costumes just come together? How long would you hold on to a specific trash item?
Okay, so good questions here. I'll kind of go one at a time. Have an idea for what
I'll leave them up.
Collect for. So I do have a really long list. It's probably over 200 right now of like maybe like just ideas of like, oh, I could do this. And so not that I have the best memory, but I do try to keep like the top 10 or 20 in my mind of like, ooh, I could do this. And so I'm kind of slowly collecting for some of those. There are going to be sometimes that costumes literally just come together. A good example was my Cyclops. I literally did this like 5 days ago, so that's why I don't have a photo of it. But it was very much, there was a beach party at Dragon Con, and my friend, I knew he had a visor for Cyclops, and I had a lot of yellow, so I made shorts and his little utility belt. And that was very much a costume that I'd never thought of, but until the idea of going to the beach party popped in my head, and it also, there was another shoot that was going to be just for mutants there. I was like, okay, what beach mutant costume can I make? And I think I asked I got like 10 ideas from people, and it was that was like the easiest. I was like kind of frantically looking around. I was like, okay, can't do this. Oh wait, I have a lot of yellow, I can do this. So in addition to having a bunch of costumes kind of like on the back burner of maybe I could do this one day and actively look for it, I am very prone to putting new costumes on that list if I find like a large percentage of that costume. So Cyclops was very much that, where like it wasn't on the list, but then it got on and was immediately made because, well, I have yellow and I have a need for it. So in terms of holding on to a specific trash item, typically if something is a very large swath of something, like a very large piece of sheet metal or a very large piece of fabric or something like that, I will hold on to that theoretically indefinitely, because you can always cut it up into a smaller piece, and even if you only use a little bit or repurpose it for something besides a costume, the bigger the material, the longer I'll keep onto it. Kind of like, and there are lots of like small things that I will keep indefinitely because I know that I'm going to be using them forever. So like belt buckles, caps from like soda cans or not soda bottles, things like that, or like really cool unique trash. But for the most part, after about a year, if I've had something, and if it's like some weird tchotchke that I have absolutely no idea what to do with, and it's like weirdly shaped, or it's like a mixed medium of like part plastic and part metal, and it's brittle, I will eventually get rid of that, because it's like after a year, I'm like, what am I doing with this weird thing that you can't do anything with? Like I held on to these basically deconstructed rolling suitcases because I was like, oh, I could use the wheels and like the gear, not the wheels, but the wheels and also the little thing that holds it, like the axle, I guess, underneath the suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, I'm like, what am I going to do with 3 axles? Like I couldn't think of a costume for it, so I got rid of that trash. So
That's
I
fair.
guess do a Thomas the Train Engine where I just lay down on like 30 axles. I'm not doing that. I do a lot of joke costumes. I'm not doing that one.
That's not quite where you're going.
No, this is not Starlight Express or whatever that Andrew Lloyd Webber musical was.
I have one last picture from you, and then we have our viewer submissions. This one's great.
Yeah, this is a good example of reduce, reuse, repurpose, one of those 13 R's. All of the hair. So if you notice that I have a lot of hair on my chest and coming out of my boots, do you notice where a lot of hair isn't? On my head, all the hair I used to cut the mohawk, I literally glued together and made, because Zangief is notorious for having like a big star-ish and also so much hair.
Hairy.
Yep, and so I'm not going to go buy hair when I need to cut my hair off for the costume anyway, and so it's this is a good.
So was that single use? Or did you like glue it into something like a hairpiece that you could reuse?
I could reuse it. It's technically all just glued together. Still, it's in my closet upstairs.
Okay,
but
that's a conversation starter.
Yeah, I was like, I got hair in my closet. You want to see it? Sounds so weird. FBI, don't come for me. But this is a good example of stuff that I've used and kept for a long time. So like the red. Well, 2 things. The red for both the boots and the Speedo, I guess. the trunks, that was from just a very large sheet. And so it's like, I'm going to use red for a costume. So eventually I can't have a costume that used red. So like, well, I'm never going to throw away large pieces of red. The yellow, that actually is yellow paint on top of a busted kayak. When the kayak popped and I didn't want to repair it because it was just going to be obnoxious to repair an inflatable kayak, you got really large pieces of plastic that were pretty durable that you could use not as boning necessarily for anything, but like a semi-support system. And so I kind of folded that over on itself and glued it together, and it was pretty sturdy as a durable belt. And like big, even if it's something weird like that, I'm going to keep large pieces of stuff because those can be repurposed pretty easily, whether it's for boning for part of a costume, some sort of framing for even like some harness or something like that. That's stuff that I'll typically keep indefinitely. And I guess the hair. I guess I'll just keep the hair, whatever. I ever cosplay
The hair.
Okay, now it makes me want to go throw it away. Like
I've got a box full of wigs, but none of
We
it's
are
from
not-
my...
You know, this is the judgment-free zone. Do what you want with your hair.
It's your own hair. It's not like you know, like you said, it's not like you collected other people's hair or anything.
I would draw the line at that. I admit I'm a
You
do not send him
trash.
your hair.
Please don't. I will not use it. I just look at it and just walk over to trash can, throw it away. Like, this is weird. This is like a serial killer.
Feel like I'm moving because they have my address.
Yep. It's like, kind of crazy. Wow, I gotta leave the country. That's wow. Look at the time.
We have said way worse things. We're probably on watch lists too. So
Oh
don't
no!
feel
Every
bad
time
for
we've had
myself.
Beth on, okay, let's just be honest.
Oh my gosh. Our friend Beth invokes certain bots by saying certain words that we will not say because the
We will
bots
not
are
say.
relentless. Mm.
Speaking of bots, do you know that Patreon like flags the word? If you type the word naked, it will like say like, "Ooh, are you? Is it?
You're gonna
Should
have
this
all
post?" Yeah, like literally. So I have to like put an asterisk instead of an A, and I'm like, naked is not a bad word. That's like a G. That's a G-rated word. Like, it means
Your comments
not.
are about to blow up with bots. What are you doing,
Maybe,
Kyle?
maybe not.
Wait,
Maybe-
no, hold on.
Maybe we'll get lucky.
That's one word. This isn't a Patreon. Wait, this is a stream.
That's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
agree.
YouTube gets.
It's
we
not
get
a
some
dirty
crazy.
word.
It's not, but My Chemical Crash did ask, it said maybe you already answered this, but how many hours per week do you spend on cosplay on average, including picking up materials?
So since I've expanded the brand with CFT, I've probably worked an unreasonable amount of hours basically since May, since I heard of Patreon and like really trying to like get into more cons and things like that. But if we're talking about just personal like physical crafting, that's anywhere from 5 to 30 hours a week. Like if I'm con crunching, there may be like I'm working maybe 4+ hours every night for a con that's coming up over a weekend. But then some weeks, you know, especially after a con, it's like I've also been sick this week, but I'm like, I haven't crafted anything in like 4 days. So it's super hit or miss. An average would be very misleading. I could probably confidently say on average 10+, but I think I guess that's pretty average for a hobby. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm Chemical Crash. I'm always searching for trash. Like there's people say, "Oh, you going hunting for trash?" I'm like, "You mean walking outside my house?" Yeah, like I'll pick up anything.
He's like, I'm looking at that
That's
trash
my
pile across
secret.
the street.
I'm always looking.
One time my mom joked when I was driving her around for a long story, and I basically like slammed on the brakes and picked up some trash and threw it in because I have a truck and threw it in the bed. She got in. She's like, if I had my camera out, I would have taken a photo of you right now and compared it to your eventual wedding date. If you ever get married, you would have looked happier right now. I was like, thanks, Mom.
You're like, don't worry, Mom. I'm gonna make my tux from trash when I get married.
Is that why you own a truck? So you can just pick up trash wherever you go?
No. I mean, I've always been a truck guy because I've always liked. My whole family's been very much my grandfather was a carpenter. Like we're scavengers. So like even without cosplay, I've always been like, ooh, free stuff, or like I'm always hauling stuff or helping someone move. So
That is such a Southern thing. I swear, like, because my mom still drives the truck that my dad had before he passed away, and we're still like always like, "Ooh, we could get that thing and bring it to the house."
Yep. Oh, I could paint that. Oh, I can fix that. No problem. So.
Okay, this is how we got a Christmas tree one year. We were looking for a new one. I grew up like dirt poor, and Mom found one thrown out on the side of the road because the artificial tree's like trunk had broken. Mom got a piece of wood, painted it green, and drilled the holes, and we had a new Christmas tree. She found it on the side of the road.
As the Lord intended. So like, that was great. I love your mom.
Welcome to the South. We'll give you sweet tea and repurpose trash.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we're special down here.
And let's go through our viewer submissions real quick. Andrea, if you want to talk through
our friend Mark King Beast, he said both of these were bought at the thrift store, probably spent about $40 on each of them, and his friend printed his Casey Jones mask and said it cost him less than $5 to print it. Nice. So he was like, they're perfect costumes, they look great, and you know, we love Mark. He's always got something interesting to share with us.
Quick interjection about this, and this is a really good point. If you ever like want to make costumes out of trash and you're like making like 80, 90, 95% of it, if you need like one piece that is 3D printed, you're not like betraying the trash gods. If you like there are so many times where I'm like, okay, yes. I can't find this one doohickey, and like a lot of my costumes have like this much 3D print stuff on it. It's like, that is, don't worry, you're not offending, you know, King Trash over here. If you like one thing, that's by all means, it's much easier to.
Well, just like you're still a cosplayer if you buy your costumes and don't make them. You're still a cosplayer.
100%.
Wes the Dragon sent this to us. Said all of these pieces were thrifted and put together for this costume, and I think it looks fantastic.
I love the mask.
Oh yeah,
really good.
So our friend Angel, the first one, she found her Minion costume pieces at Goodwill. So Angel is a queen of thrifting. Now, the White Queen costume from Alice in Wonderland, I helped her make. Every single thing in that is clothes she found at Goodwill that we cut up and repurposed together. The collar is actually a skirt that we took apart and redid. And even the corset on that one, she's gotten a new corset since, but that was all scraps in my fabric collection. And all the rhinestones on it already in my collection. Angel is a thrift queen. Like, she is so good at it.
Also, I want to cosplay a Minion. I just have another idea because like, oh wait, I could do that.
Yes.
I love Gina from Venerable Cosplay.
Oh,
always does the goofiest stuff. And
wait, is that from episode 4?
Yes.
It's the trash bin. It took me a second. Like,
she loves doing, like, I remember when we had them on, she talks about, like, she's like, I can cosplay the weapon, not the character, the weapon the character carries. Just be the Dianoga, literal trash. It's great.
I love that.
Gina's amazing.
When they sent these earlier today, I died laughing when I opened it. I've got to send it to my brothers because they're huge Star Wars fans, and I know they'll look at it and go, Dianoga. I just know they will.
She's so creative.
She's got a great
love
sense
her.
of humor in cosplay.
I'm doing that. I'm 100% doing that. How have I not thought of that? That's a great idea.
Literal trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like totally your brand. What the heck? Oh, and Joey.
Yes, the Manny faces from He-Man.
So Art of the Tin Man.
Love it.
That looks so cool.
I know.
The two of them are so great. They are so talented. But they also have a really great sense of humor in cosplay. And I think you need that because some people take it way too seriously. And I take myself very seriously as a crafter, but I like having fun in costumes. So seeing the stuff like this makes me so happy. I also grew up on He-Man.
I need more funny costumes is what I need. Like, I don't have enough that are.
I have so many serious ones because of all the volunteer work. I'm like, I need something that's just a joke. I decided to do something stupid just because. Yeah.
I have my idea for my next stupid costume, but I have to build it and I have to decide how serious I want to make the build.
Yeah.
So I want to do a centaur,
Yes.
and the front is wearing apple bottom jeans and the boots with the fur, and the
You've
back
talked
is
about
wearing baggy sweatpants and the Reeboks with the straps.
that.
Because we all agree that that song is about a centaur. That's why the whole club was looking at her.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Aubrey,
yeah.
Aubrey said, talking about stopping from the for side of the road trash treasures. My children used to say, "Oh no, mom, please don't stop." My mom started it in my family. It's the old school reduce, reuse, recycle.
That's
I mean, I was an
free stuff.
80s kid. That's we learned that in the 80s, man. We had to save the planet by recycling.
Quite honestly, it's so it's a good way to do things. In today's
Yes.
society, there's so much that is fast fashion and just
Yeah.
instant gratification where you go
Disposable.
online and order something. And don't get me wrong, I've fallen into that trap a lot.
Oh yeah.
But if you can find something and repurpose it, it is better for the environment. It just
Yep.
is.
I used to
And-
costume for theater, and one year we did an evening with Edgar Allan Poe in steampunk, and this was all like middle school and high school students. Half of the skirts and things we made for the girls were from like sheets and curtains I found at Goodwill.
Nice.
And we just made these big bustles and, piled stuff up, and it was steampunk, so it was perfect, all the repurposed crap that I found.
That's awesome.
And let's show Eddie. So Eddie Heiser has a good question for all of us. So
Oh, yes.
he says, to all of you, what's your cosplay character preferences? Anime, comic, movie, or video game characters? And he says, also, I like your Agatha costume. I just recognized the brooch, by the way. Thank you so much. I love this brooch. It's my favorite part of the costume. So for me, I lean towards comics, but I like to mix up sometimes. What about you, Kyle?
I would say that purely because of the number of costumes that I've made of those categories, I'd say video games and anime. But I mean, the two I just added to my list were, what's the Star Wars monster name? I just wrote
Dianoga.
Diatoga and Minion, and those are both like movies. So it's like it really
Yeah.
is. I wouldn't say that I even like really lean towards any one specific category very much. It's like if a random idea comes to me, it's like that one.
Yeah.
So
I'm probably more comic and then Disney type stuff because, once again, like Kelly, I do a lot of volunteer work, but I also love original designs, and I'm working on getting back into that. And I love taking a character and making historical costumes. I love Victorian, I love Edwardian. So I love taking a character and doing vintage style too. And because I love the 40s, 50s, 60s style. So it's fun to take a character and put them in a different time like that. So I'm kind of all over the place. It's whatever strikes my fancy when I'm cosplaying, when I'm coming up with a new thing to do.
Yeah, that's fair. I love doing the 40s and 50s and 1920s styles
I love
too.
bombshell styles. They're so much
I'm
fun.
such a fan of that. And then T Shades, thank you very much. He said, Kelly, that is the best thing I've ever heard about my little rant about how recycling is so good it's so much better for the environment as opposed to doing the fast fashion or buying stuff on those sites that we won't mention.
I was raised in the 80s, so we were all about recycling in the 80s.
Captain Planet, okay, y'all.
Yeah.
So Willow of Skylar Productions says, I'm sorry I'm catching the show late, just here showing you folks some love. We love you, Willow.
Love you, Willow.
Willow's another co-host from our network. So we are at the end of our show, so we have our question that we always ask. Let me just give you
yeah,
I'm gonna give you the full screen. Why is it not giving me the option to do this? Hang on. There we go. Okay. So Kyle, what's some advice you would give to someone who is just wanting to start out in cosplay?
Oh gosh, there's so many different things I could say to try to encourage people, because I definitely think that it's pretty easy to get discouraged. The one way that I found myself to grow in terms of skills, to not get discouraged, to get motivation, all this other stuff summed up into one, it's really find friends. Like what I said earlier with how I, met sorry, Kelly at Fan Expo Chicago. Sorry, I'm like coughing now, COVID. But just being able to make those connections will make all other parts of cosplay that much more fun. And so whether it's, I mean, so like if you go to a con, the fact that if you know people and you have friends, that means you have someone to hang out with. Going through the artist and vendor alleys at cons, it's like, oh, you can like look for gifts for your friends or for your family, even for yourself, something to share with them. If you don't know how to do something when you're crafting, if you have cosplay friends, you can reach out to them and be like, hey, I tried this. What other techniques can I do? You can also kind of give back. So if someone else asks for help or something on that level, really just building community will help every aspect of your cosplay journey. And so like if you want to get into cosplay, I know that, and also like with self-confidence and things like that, where if you were nervous about cosplay and you don't necessarily want to make something or wear a costume in public or anything like that, if you have a friend with you, that is, I mean, that'll pay dividends in literally every area of cosplay. And so before you like learn how to, start sewing or learn how to work with foam or get too ahead of yourself in so many other ways, because it's really easy to get burned out or discouraged, or maybe just kind of get a little bummed out that you're not making the best cosplays from from day one. But if you can kind of like find a community and find a tribe, that will make your love for the cosplay grow, and also just you'll have a lot more fun and also get better at the craft. So I know that was kind of a sidewindy answer, but it just sounded cheap if I said like, oh, get friends, because like that's dumb. But like how I started with cosplay and like really grew, and why I'm here is because I love talking to people, and me making friends with people has made literally every part of cosplay better.
I love that. That's a good answer. And
Definitely.
speaking of finding friends, Aubrey Cavitt says, I'd love to get a pick in our poison ivies one day, Kyle. 2 poisons, partly made of trash.
Oh, totally. And like that's actually, yeah, a really good point, Aubrey, in this, where it's like part of my motivation for finishing this now was like, oh, someone else wants to, see it. And like that'd be exciting to take a pic together with trash poison ivies. And so like everything, by just like having this community, everything will compound in on itself. And now I want to not necessarily, impress everyone, but it's like, ooh, I want to make sure I do a good job and like, do it in a timely fashion so that we could maybe take a pic one day. And like, now it's motivating me and like going to make me do a better job of the costume and everything. So.
Oh, I love it.
Love it.
So Kyle, where can people find you?
Main place is I'm most active on Instagram at cosplays_from_trash. The other 2 places that I post a lot is on YouTube, where I try to have weekly videos on Tuesdays. I also do have the subscription service at Patreon, and there is some like extra content that I have on there, where there's different type of photos, some merch, additional community. Like we like to do game nights and other things like that. But definitely, if you just kind of want to like follow along the journey just a little bit, I'd say follow Instagram and YouTube, because you'll see some of the larger projects there. So I know I basically said don't follow my Patreon, but like I never want to pressure people to like. So someone said they were struggling financially. Like, please take care of yourself before you like give me money for glue. I will be fine if please take care of yourself.
Definitely.
And Andrea, what about you?
Mostly like Kyle. I'm mostly on Instagram, Media Rice, spelled like it is on the screen, and our links and everything. Y'all probably heard me spell it a million times. Most people can't pronounce it until I pronounce it. Long story.
I thought it was
tomorrow.
Media Rice.
Media Rice. It's a long story about a character from my early adulthood. But you also, if you're in the West Tennessee area, you can find me at West Tennessee Comic Con in Jackson, Tennessee tomorrow. I'm a cosplay guest.
Yay.
So
That's awesome.
Apparently, I'm running like almost every cosplay contest in the area anymore. So I'm gonna have to go way. I'm gonna have to go way out of the way to be able to compete again someday.
Well, I have a spare bedroom for you if you want to come up to the Midwest.
I would like to sometime. It'll have to be next year because I've got all my vacation until, November and December in retail are fun.
Also, as I keep telling you, there is a castle filled with cheese
I
and
know.
wine.
I know.
Why have
I
you
need to
not
come to
gotten
the-
your butt up here yet?
There's a wine castle?
Yes, there's a wine
There's
and cheese
a
castle
wine
in
and
Wisconsin.
Castle. It's called the Cheese Castle. It is the best tourist trap I've ever been to. It's my favorite thing. It's at the border.
We keep talking about all needing to make a journey to Wisconsin.
I'm down for wine. I like castles and wine.
And cheese.
Right? Who doesn't?
I don't eat cheese, so.
Oh, well.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay,
I like
it
the
has
wine. You had me on wine.
The wine in the castle do
It has
sound good, even
wine,
if there's no cheese.
It has beer. It has pastries. I love it. I love it. Barry asked Mars Cheese Castle. Yes, and I love it. It's very and if anyone's wondering, you can find me at Phoenix Sis Entertainment online, also Cosplay Cafe podcast, most social medias, or PhoenixSistersEntertainment.com if you wanted to get my books. Aubrey Cavitt says road trip. Yes, come visit me, y'all. Wisconsin's fun. Come visit me before it gets cold. Because that's not so fun.
Thank you all, people from Patreon or any place that showed up to watch, and also thank you for everyone that I have met tonight. It was, I'm excited for the Poison Ivy costume, Aubrey. So that'll be fun.
I'm so excited to see it. So thank you, Kyle, for being here. Thank you, Kyle's patrons, for showing up. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. We
Always.
love our viewers very much.
Without them, what are we?
Exactly. And please enjoy this network exit video that shows you what else our network has to offer.
Watch it.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss,